Hello, hi, welcome to Roast Mortem. It's a show where we talk about history and nice stuff, and I'm Tom.
I'm Travis. I'm so excited for history.
I am your Cody for this evening. And, where's the other guy?
Mike sent me a text. It reads like this. Hold on, let me read it because he just sends me the funniest text all the time. I always laugh when he sends me a text because he's just got a great sense of humor. That's why we have him on the show. So I was like, hey, man, we're going to start at 8:30 tonight. And he said, go fuck yourself, find a gun, trip on it, which I thought it was hysterical. There's more, but then it kind of gives away my address. But it was really funny. You know, I was like, this guy, you know, unfortunately, he's not on the show tonight. He has a date, and I'm going to call it a warm date because he's had a lot of those recently. Not so much hot ones.
Wait, but we could do like the ooh when he gets back.
That's true. We're going to do that. We're actually going to do that. That portmanteau up the 90s sitcom crowds do. We're going to make that the whole show. It's going to be
Just over an hour and change.
Yep.
Like THX singing it all the way to the end.
Yeah.
Oh, we can harmonize it.
Guys, it's so weird. Do you know that episode that we did with the crazy sitcom portmanteau? Apparently that got 4 million downloads.
It's wild.
Wild. Really wild. Guys, what's up?
Hey, how you doing?
What's actually happening?
I don't know.
Cody, you're traveling.
It's all blending together.
Where in the world is Cody? San Diego,
Arizona, Scottsdale, next to Phoenix.
you've been there for a while now. You were there last week.
Yes, weak in quotation marks. But yeah, I'm still here. It's great. Huge pool party yesterday, which came to like an abrupt close when the pool was evacuated after a woman cut her foot on something.
What you cut her foot on?
We don't know. They can't figure it out. Like,
Got sharks in that pool?
I don't know. There's no sharks in the pool. I'm not there now.
Did that woman have AIDS?
I don't know. But there was a bunch of chlorine, so might be good.
Dude, you got Arizona AIDS.
And also, I wasn't in the pool, so it still might be good.
Oh, okay.
You're not a pool guy, are you? I can imagine
music was
you
so
wet.
fucking loud. I was in the pool when the music wasn't going. They had a fucking live DJ, and the music was so fucking loud, I couldn't take it. But 2 days ago, I was contently floating in the pool with like 3 margaritas in a bucket. It was nice.
That does sound fun.
I'm assuming everyone was fully masked in the pool.
No. Everyone's magically vaccinated, it seems.
Yeah, the honor system is getting us very far. I like it. Could you imagine a pool party happening and Fauci coming in, kind of like Tokyo drifting into the pool?
Yeah.
And like shutting it all down.
Yeah, I see him like hitting people with a fire extinguisher, even though there's no like open flame anywhere. It's just like social distancing.
I see Fauci as like, you know, not to be political, but I see him as like the only guy who was allowed to be Harpo Marx.
Yeah.
In our society.
Wow.
Like ruining everyone's time. Like Harpo Marx, if you don't know, he's from the Marx Brothers. And he'd just walk right up to you, take your pocket out of your pocket, flip it inside out, and cut it. And go, what? And you go, what the hell? And he wouldn't say anything.
That's his shit.
Because he was Harpo Marx.
He was onto his next
pocket.
Pocket. What, just like that.
Snipping off your tie. You know, if you were eating a pretzel, he would just take it out of your hand. And that's Fauci. So there is humor there.
I like Fauci Tokyo drifting.
That's Travis's favorite part of this story.
Right. Travis, speaking of your favorite part of the story, do you want to ask how my weekend was?
Sure. Let's Tokyo drift on to fucking Tom.
No, I'll make it quick. And that was a setup, you see. That's how that works sometimes, subverting expectations. But look, guys, I'm moving down south. We all know this. I've said it several times in the show. I spent 5 hours in a car yesterday.
What?
I had to go to Manhattan in a car. That's enough reason for everyone to move out of the state.
Tom, I must say you have a very nice lion's mane going on right now. Your hair.
Yeah, I'm letting it go, man. I'm becoming a new man. I've been working out only my pectorals. I'm going to keep my arms really skinny and get my chest really big. Like some kind of Hanna-Barbera cartoon.
I feel like that'll give you like weird aerodynamics, though.
It's going to be weird. Dynamically or not at all. Either way, I spent so much time in traffic, 5 hours, that I decided I would start over again. So that's what I'm doing. I grew up my hair yesterday, and that's my Saturday because we're doing this on Sunday. Oh, also, hold on. I want to use the feed right here to say something to the Patreon people and the Discord folks. For some reason, I cannot get my interface to work with Discord at all. So we have not been showing up on Discord because every time we try to do it, something is happening.
There's an update that half breaks it.
Yeah. When are the furries and the gays going to get along? Because then Discord will work with my Apple product.
Until then, we're just stuck with Microsoft, Bill Gates touching boys' PPs, Skype.
Good.
Yeah, so we're on Skype, and right at the top. Thanks, all Patreon people. Now, Travis, how was the weekend?
So it's been so much Tokyo drifting. First of all, I gotta say, rest in peace to my Ford Cum Fiesta. Just sold that shit to CarMax today. Love CarMax. Best deals. Not sponsored.
They just picked that shit up, right?
Dude, they gave me so much money for it, and I brought it in, and obviously I smoked. There's burns in the seat.
Didn't a hobo break into that car at one point?
Yeah, a hobo broke into that car at one point. I drove it across the country. It was a rental car, so it had high mileage. And, the door handle was falling off. I broke the door handle. And they gave it to me for, $300 above, the average, Kelly Blue Book, Edmonds. I'm like, fuck yeah, man, take it. Well,
nice. Well, congratulations. So the Cum Fiesta is no more.
Yeah.
You do have a fresh lesbian mobile, which is honestly very tempting.
Well, I thought that driving the Cum Fiesta was too toxic masculinity because there's a lot of cum in the Fiesta. So I'm bridging the gap with the Crosstrek.
I like this.
For those of you who don't know, Cum Fiesta was a website on the internet.
I was just explaining that it had the best setups for every porn because it got straight to the point. There's no story. It was just the lady walks up, knock, knock, knock. I'm here for the Cum Fiesta. Bam! You know what you're getting.
Right. It was a whole network. And I guess someone figured out that they never really locked their admin down that well. So when I was younger, it was all dial-up times. You can log into this site just using Cum Fiesta as the login and the password. And it was great.
Right.
It's just you just log in. I probably could have made changes to the website, but I didn't. This is at the time when a gig was I don't have a gig to download anything. My computer only has 6 of them. I can't download anything.
Yeah. So that
would take a week. Congratulations.
That was my week wheeling and dealing in a car.
Wow.
To the wall.
That's pretty
to
cool,
the Walmart
Travis.
of car dealers.
That's very excellent.
So, Cody, who is on my chopper bag?
Woo! We got a boy tonight. We have a lad and a half tonight, gentlemen. Tonight's subject is the one, the only Daniel Dancer, the miser. So prepare yourselves. This is one of history's cheapest of cheapskates that we're going to talk about tonight.
Cody,
and
is this the peanut butter jelly man? Does he just dance? That's a dated reference.
I have no idea. Do you know what he's talking about, Tom?
Are you talking about Brian Griffin?
No, the little jam guy that goes like this. And he waves
the
his arms
E-Bombs banana
around.
or whatever?
Somebody
I
will
don't
know
know.
the
Is
peanut
it the
butter
dancing
jelly
baby?
time.
Peanut butter jelly time.
Look, that's very cheap of you to just throw a cheap joke in there. That all of our jokes are rich and expensive. So this is going to be easy for us to make fun of a cheapskate.
Yeah, it's weird how you did it like that.
Yeah.
So, we got this guy is the IRL inspiration for Ebenezer Scrooge, and by extension, Scrooge McDuck.
Oh shit!
So this is the cheapskate, boys.
So jumping headfirst into a pile of gold, not a good idea. Jumping headfirst into a pile of sliced pepperoni, great idea.
I'm not gonna touch that. How do you feel about that?
I wouldn't touch that one.
It's pretty succinct.
This is a man who grew up with pepperoni hikes. Don't touch it,
true.
Cody.
Uh-huh.
Might end up in a wild
Dude, another
debate.
thing, I'm doing keto, so I can eat as much pepperoni as I want, dog. It's healthy.
I'm sure you shouldn't. But what do I know? I'm no Anthony Fauci. I won't tell you how to eat pepperoni.
So
Cody, tell me more about Scrooge McDuck.
Daniel Dancer, born 1716, Middlesex, Great Britain. He's a third-generation miser. His dad and his dad's dad were also legendary penny pinchers. And just So we can abate spoilers. This entire episode takes place in his house, or his estate rather, because he was just too afraid to leave because of thieves. So this isn't a grand tour episode. This is literally just 80 years on this guy's estate. 1716 to 1794.
So he was living a very 21st century lifestyle back in the 18th century.
We'll see if we can change your mind with that.
Okay.
But yeah, so think of this character as like a bottle episode character. It doesn't go like his character goes places. It's interesting, but his physical body doesn't move. We're just in fucking Middlesex in the 1700s.
Awesome.
Daniel was blessed by two more brothers and a sister who will come back into the story, but pretty much Daniel's life gets kicked off when his penny-pinching father passes away in 1736, leaving all his pennies that were previously pinched for his children.
So, Cody, I'm not good at math. How old is he, roughly?
Our dancer boy?
Yeah, when his dad...
When
he makes the money.
16, 18. Teenager. We
Okay.
can say teenager.
So a teen driving a Tesla. I saw a pack of teens get into a Tesla the other day. And
How'd that work?
Well,
out?
that's good.
terrible.
I mean, like teens are very much into being clowns these days. Very colorful things. So clown and a Tesla is in fact a
See,
clown.
but I
car.
think they should be more like our boy Dancer here and just stay inside and don't leave the house with your money. Because society
children
doesn't want to
need to
see
do that.
you in your Tesla.
I think yeah, that's correct. I agree.
So, teenage years, he gets, a quarter of, the goods his dad leaves behind. Our boy Daniel opts for the estate, the actual house. So he's like, haha, a free house. I live here now. Can't charge me no rent. And his siblings more or less got cash. His sister decided to live with him, though, so they can be, partners in crime, two cheapskates in a pod.
Cue Pornhub sound. It's wicked.
Yeah, get the opening chime in there. So his sister lived with him, and the farm was more. It was an estate with a farm when his dad has it, but because our subject is such a huge penny pincher, the farm goes into, instead of like produce and goods and all that, the farm just literally becomes, I don't know how to say it, a hay ranch. Hay was like the only thing he sold.
Yeah, but hey, that's it's a valuable.
It's a commodity. It's easy. There's not
but
a lot
it's
of
easy. It's easy.
Yes, and he needed stuff to be easy because this Scrooge McDuck instantly fired all of his dad's servants and farmhands.
Well,
That's how you plan for your future.
and also hay is pretty much the 18th century gasoline. Have you ever put a bunch of hay into a bag and huffed it? I have. You got hay fever.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, you get the thieves. I am so allergic to hay. As of recent, when I was a kid, it was no big deal. I have all kinds of pictures of me with a pumpkin and going, yeah, this is fun. Well, recently I went, I think a couple of years ago, I went to one of these farms where they have horses. Have you heard of this? And there's hay, and it looked at me, and my eyes started puffing up, and I was like, oh no, put me in the water. Drown
Put me into the afterlife.
So farms are weird.
Yeah.
Horses are weird too.
So fired all of his hands and just went the hay route, which is easy. And that's pretty much how this guy made a living. He was like the sole worker at this hay ranch, hay farm thing. And he would trade his hay for the things necessary for livings. So let's talk about how he looked. He was a cheapskate that he just rocked a patchwork coat. So, it's a coat that used to be a coat, but it's now more patches than actual coat.
Like a calico.
Sure. If a calico, fastened his clothes onto him with the excess hay bale bands.
Oh.
Because that's what he would, instead of belts, he'd just, give me a hay bale band, and he'd, double it up and use it as, a belt or, a collar for his, rags that he was rocking.
Would this guy ever go out for a drink?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
He cannot.
I was going to make a joke, but I think it's so out of place now.
Because we all have this, thought when you're a kid, when you break, let's say you break your mom's vase and she asks you to replace it. And then you realize, like, well, my mom would have 2 vases now if it wasn't for me breaking it. That money is forever, like, lost and gone. So he has, like, this, like, weird, erroneous, like, set. Like, if I give money away, I'll be, what was that moment from the Tiger King? Like, I'll never financially recover from this.
Oh, right.
So he just thought, like,
So-
any expenditure that wasn't absolutely critical was just a failure or a defeat state.
So he's basically like one of these Bitcoin people.
Yeah.
Sure, you can think of it like that with Bitcoin.
He must hodl. We're not using it as currency. I need all of it.
Give me all.
I didn't buy it to sell it. I bought it to have it, which is a great way of thinking. Sometimes.
Yo, but how, Cody? Tell me how.
Yes.
Like, I know we established that hay is gasoline, but how expensive is hay? It can't be that hard to make.
It's not that hard to make, which is why he loves outputting it.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So it's a perfect match for him. Like, low maintenance, but as soon as he hands it over, it's more or less all profit that gets put into his hands.
Okay.
Right, and he's doing all the labor.
He's doing the labor himself
So
with maybe a little bit of help from his sister.
Right, so it's like to him, his time isn't worth anything. That's how misers work.
Yep.
They're like their time isn't working. It's the money itself. He seems like an idiot though.
Yeah.
You can invest these things and make more money and use less
He
time.
also likes hay because in his head, it's like Play-Doh. You can make anything out of it. Like, oh, do you need a bed? Hay. Do you need pillow?
Oh, right.
Hay. Do you need a little bit more insulation in your patchwork coat? Hey.
Right, so it's like in The Graduate when they're like, invest in plastics. Like, he's like, I've already invested in hay because it can be used for
it's
everything.
the future. Yeah. It's the future. You pretty much, the only thing you can't do with it is eat it if you're a human.
I don't know.
So,
Well, I will say this. Although he sounds like a tremendous prick already,
mhm.
you can't fault him for the logic. Maybe you can change my mind, Cody.
maybe like that's where like the next step is in America. It's just instead of Ethereum, it's just everyone goes hay farmer.
Yeah.
Why not? It's not like we have all this
Bespoke hay.
property.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure China owns all those fields that you look at when you're driving down 95. It can't be Americans. We have no property apparently.
That's weird. Backyards? What were those?
That's the
he would
anus, Cody.
Yeah, dude. He would buy his shirt allowance per year was 1, and it would be secondhand shirts, of course. He would go to the store and haggle for the single shirt for too long. His opening bid was 2 shilling and 6 pence and would never go over 3 shilling. So this guy would like take about an hour to argue for, less than half a fucking shilling at the general store.
I did one shirt.
1 shirt per year.
I just bought 3 shirts that were the wrong size. I decided to keep them as rags. What is wrong with this guy? I'm gonna keep
he's
saying
a
it the
miser.
whole time. Don't
He's
answer. I know. Don't answer
Just
that.
enjoy your react.
Code,
What?
you're
yes.
also
When I ask that question, it's just the reaction.
we're also entering like Karen territory here because he's going to a fucking store and they're like, "Oh, I got this is gonna be 4 shillings," and he's like, excuse me, I was here last year and it was only 2 shillings and 3 pence."
That was BOGO. There was a BOGO yesterday. Where did it go? You knew I was coming today, and you took the BOGO away.
I know that like the term Karen gets overused all the time at this point. No, it has some validity. That's why it's getting used all the time. But these people, if they can wisen up a little bit, I'm not saying change your attitude, your stance on anything. Get to the point. Like a Karen, if she's in an Old Navy and the BOGO's not there anymore, just start screaming.
Yeah,
like immediately, and then they'll know. Just like give her shit, like first thing out of her mouth.
yeah.
But
People will get you out of there. 15 seconds, you'll be there. You won't be arguing for 10 minutes over Heinz ketchup. This said it was 24 ounces, but it's a misprint. It's 25. Like, shut up. Yeah, just start screaming, and people will give you whatever you
Don't
want.
waste my time online. Just fucking yell.
Right. Exactly.
As for footwear, our specimen tonight borrowed cobbler tools from local people until he had a complete set, and then he'd just go make his own shoes. Which is like, that's the ultimate, like, we all have friends that, like, ask to, like, borrow a game or something, and it doesn't come back.
Yeah.
Even, you know what I mean? It's like, he did that with, like, shoemaking tools, and then just made shoes.
Yeah, because he's got a...
Cody, I like how you went with a game. Like you don't own any tools. Like, I've actually lent my friends tools, and they haven't come back, and you went with a game.
I don't have tools to fucking lend friends.
I know.
I just got this one sick-ass multi-tool.
You have one multi-tool, which, if you
And
know
it's
anything about
mine.
tools, it's kind of a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Anyway, Travis, I just cut you off, so Cody, you should continue and cut
Okay, got it.
Travis off more.
So again, he would use the hay bale bands to, like, fasten his shoes together a little bit, where the seams would break. But the thing is, he kept, because the shoes were so prone to breaking, that he just kept the excess bands wound around his ankles. So, like, he just popped some of it off to tie the end of his shoes off with. If those blew open. So he kind of looks like he's sporting, like, Roman gladiator sandals to some people.
So, Cody, I've seen you get the most out of your shoes. You're like me. I basically go until your shoes are falling off. I don't know about you, Tom.
I do that.
Cody,
Do it. Say it, fucker.
my relationship to
Say
your
it,
shoes
fucker.
is very hurtful.
Say it, fucker.
I have watched you wear shoes until they turned into nothing, like dust.
Yeah.
And then I actually bought you shoes for
I
your
got
birthday.
them right
because
fucking
The
here.
same shoes?
Yeah, nice shoes. I still wear them.
You still
Yeah.
wear them? That was 3
They're
years ago.
green.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to buy something you'd wear. I know you like your greens. But, Cody, you don't know what size shoe you wear.
No, I don't.
Like, I just asked you. I was just like,
I
hey,
get the fucking
I'm buying you
flip-flops.
shoes because I can't look at this anymore. What size are you? You say, Tom, I'm a size 11. I know
I did
this.
not say 11.
You said 11 with confidence. What size shoe is that? Look right now. Look right now.
And Cody just got up. He's gonna go grab these shoes.
Is it 11? What is whatever it says in there? Whatever it says.
It's a 10 and a half.
10 and a half. Okay. So you said 10 and a half. Because I know. I wrote it down.
That
And then
seems
I went-
fucking roomy and not too tight to me.
They're supposed to fit. They look like flippers on you. You look like you're about to go have lunch with Echo the dolphin.
You still wearing them though, Cody?
Okay.
So you got the right gift.
I'm glad you're wearing
It's
it.
nice. They're good. They cover all
Helps
of my
him swim
foot.
better in the
It's a
pool.
nice shoe. I just wish you knew what size shoe you wore.
I'll
so
get it
would fit
eventually. Just shut up.
better. They have
Fuck.
measurement systems.
I knew
for
this was coming as soon as I said this. I was honestly thinking about writing the shoe thing out of the fucking script so I wouldn't have to deal with this.
It's like, what?
Fuck
right,
the
Cody.
lot of you.
Now everyone knows.
So to some people, because he kept the bands around his ankle, his footwear looked extra fucking like Roman gladiator type. But sometimes, like, in his patching, he would lose the form of the shoe or like the concept of the shape of a shoe. So like when he goes to the general store, the manager, like, when he goes to town, like, he would ask for the manager to come out to do whatever trading need be done. And like this, like, Chandler store owner thought he had accidentally stepped into pigs troughs that were just in the street, but it was just his shoes.
Oh.
So like they were like super boxy by the time he like affected all the like repairs and patchworks to it, to the point where like passersby was like, "Sir, you're standing in a trough. Oh wait, those are your Jordans."
He sounds like one of those really ambitious teenagers. And I'm referring to myself. Like one of those, in my teens, I was just like, oh, I can
Yeah.
do anything. It's
I'm gonna
easy.
paint a car with a Sharpie.
Yeah, shit like that. And then I would just do something and I would be like, this was a terrible idea. But it seems like he's not admitting it. And he's also in his 20s now.
Yes.
So he hasn't caught on at all. You ever meet those people just like, yeah, I'm going to learn a language. Use Duolingo.
It's hard.
Super easy. I've been there.
Yeah.
That's
I've
why
been there,
I'm
yeah.
saying
I've been there too, dude.
Um,
I can't speak Swedish.
No, it's hard. What else did I try to do one time? Too many things, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Too many things. But either way, you learn, you live, you learn. Apparently, this guy
Tom,
does.
you gave me
So onto the
Tom
dance.
gave me a tattoo when he was going to be a tattoo artist.
Right, yeah. That happened. Man, I wish I didn't work with the WWE because I would be tattooing right now.
You would have been traveling the world. I don't get how tattoo artists have the most amazing lives. They're just going everywhere. Maybe they're just good at just good at Instagram. I don't know.
My dude Joe, he's just like, yeah, you know,
I love Joe.
Just hanging out a little bit, you know, doing a little tatties over in Sweden, doing a little tatties down in Miami, down in Puerto Rico, doing some tatties, and I'm like, God damn it,
Yeah.
that sounds awesome.
Who knew? Kids, if you're listening, don't bother getting a PhD. Just become a tattoo artist.
Yeah, that's way cooler. And if you decide to have a neck tattoo, you're supposed to have one.
Yeah.
It works.
So there's that.
All right. So he's got shitty ass shoes. He thinks he's a cobbler.
He thinks he's a cobbler. So this is how our boy looks. That's Daniel Dancer, patchwork coat, like shirt not changed for 6 weeks, and shoe boxes for shoes.
Hey, I think that Daniel Dancer guy is some kind of geisha. He's got these feet all tied up with wires and stuff. He's looking rather pale. Might be because he doesn't eat, but maybe it's because of how he's trying to look.
Hey, Daniel, why your feet look all Chinese and shit?
That's pretty good. Yeah, that's a
Very
good British accent.
Yeah, that's
right.
a very
Wow. You hit that on the head. As I said, he fired all the farm hands. He ate all the farm animals. He would just slaughter the farm animals for food instead of going and hitting up the butcher, paying for meat.
That's smart. You got walking hamburgers in your backyard. Take advantage
'em.
of that shit.
Eat them, but he wouldn't replenish the walking hamburger. He wouldn't breed or buy a calf after taking a full grown cow. It was just eat them until we have none.
Okay.
And as I said, the farm was allowed to deteriorate to just a hay city, and that actually had two benefits for Daniel. One is that because it looked like a shithole, dying animals would wander onto it, and Daniel would just eat those too.
Oh,
And because it looked like such a shithole, people would just throw garbage towards it, and he would repurpose or recycle that for, to save on other things. So a hose, and he would just use that hose as cordage or something.
Right.
Or it's just crates, and he would use the crates to replace a window on the mansion.
So,
Or
So I don't know if this is a thing that happens in a bunch of different towns, and I don't know if you guys have experienced it in Huntington. There was always this one dude, and he's been around forever. When I moved out of my old childhood house, he showed up. Every time I've had the garage sale or something, he showed up. This one guy, he has a van, and he just drives around, and he just takes garbage, actual garbage. And I've seen his house. I know where he lives. And his house is just garbage. And I'm assuming he takes the garbage to either sell or reuse. But it's just garbage.
it's not a good way to be.
No,
but I will
no,
say
no.
this: our perspective on it might be oh, you're a disgusting human freak, and we're ashamed of you as a society. I get on board with Karen when she starts complaining about the garbage on his front lawn. Yeah, you're right, Karen. He is a mess, and no one wants to see this fucking eyesore. But these people are so twisted and demented. They love these garbages, and they're so cheap. They're probably the most satisfied people on the face of the planet.
Maybe.
They're
Perhaps.
just getting free shit all the time. I'm
all
buying
profit to
stuff
them,
and
yeah.
feeling more and more empty every day.
Yeah.
And this guy's just driving around in a van that's probably biodiesel that he's repurposing French fry grease to get running.
Smells great.
Yeah, he's just a fucking French fry, and he's probably all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe he figured it out.
Yeah, he's returning to monkey.
I'm saying, not everyone's programmed like this. Not everyone's programmed to be so lucky, is what I'm saying. Very lucky.
Yeah. I'm getting a lot of vibes, Cody, right now about your guy. And I know he's, almost 2 centuries prior, but I'm getting the vibe of the Collier brothers that Tom roasted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. Quick, difference I'm noticing. Collier, wanted stuff to have stuff. Our boy tonight, Daniel Dancer, wanted stuff to sell or avoid buying stuff. So, like, his house was kind of empty. It's just because he sold everything in it for the money. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the Collier brothers had house and it was full of shit because they didn't want to get rid of it.
Right. Miser versus hoarder.
Right.
Exactly.
But still like
exactly.
a similar type of mental.
He
tardation.
was collecting. He did like hoard, but he would offload the hoard so it wouldn't overpower him. So yes, when he wasn't doing his hay bale thing, he would wander the farm gathering sticks, cow pie, cordage, and metal scraps. So he would burn the sticks and cow pies and upkeep the mansion with cordage and the metal scraps he scavenged on his daily walks. And I mentioned he ate all the farm animals. Of course, that was finite. So when all the farm animals were eaten, he had to wander into the butcher's shop and ask for the offal that was going to be thrown out anyways.
Yeah, see, but like, I feel like in England they eat that shit anyway.
Travis, do you know what a trotter is? I just found out what a trotter is.
I have no clue what a trotter is.
It's pig's feet.
Oh, that makes
is.
sense. They tried on them.
Yeah, little pig's feet, these trotters. That's what he would get. He would get head of cow and trotters to sustain himself from the butcher because the butcher was going to throw that shit out anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, right. I mean, in England they eat like fucking tripe and shit like that. Ugh.
Yeah.
I mean, I eat anything. I mean, I'll try anything, but I'm just saying it's called awful for a reason.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
not spelled the same way, but
if
still,
you chop it
awful.
You chop it up, you put enough salt on it, throw it in a pie. Who
Baby, you got a
cares?
stew.
That's true.
Yeah.
I eat Taco Bell. I don't know what that is. Probably like pig anus.
No. No one knows what that is. That's all soy stuff. All these guys eating Taco Bell and then wonder why they have tits next day.
Those weren't there.
Wait.
All right. Let's go on. Let's dance.
So he would acquire pig's feet and cow head from the butcher. He would also pick up some stale ass dough from the baker while he was in town. He had one meal a day, and that was 2 makeshift dumplings made of that shitty dough, and let's just say a handful of the beef or the beef or pork from the butcher that was already turning. Daniel Dancer would go out onto his farm, which wasn't protected, mind you, which is why animals like wander in, shit, or die. Wild dogs would also wander onto the property, which Daniel would engage in combat with.
I'm picturing the fucking Pokemon like engaged, and you see this man just like with a stick, like
Daniel
dog.
Dancer used punt.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he would fight the wild dogs that came onto his property, not in self-defense, not in sport, just to steal the marrow from the bone the dog was chewing.
Oh, a nice little scavenger.
Yeah. So you'd fight the dog, get fucked up a little bit, presumably, take whatever bone the
I don't know
dog
why
had
that
in its
kills me.
mouth.
Just
Humans fighting dogs is just like, especially if the human loses and gets like roughed up in the process.
This is one of the better mental images being created on the show that we've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine dirty old Silas Barnaby out there with his geisha feet trying to beat a fucking a border collie. Just, give me that bone. It looks yummy. And just getting fucked up, little baby teeth, like, fighting puppies and shit. Yeah. Ooh, boy.
Yeah, so you take those dog bones, not bones from the dog skeleton, just the bone the dog was chewing, boil it, get the marrow out of it, make a little stock and paint the dumplings with it, and then, have a, slightly rancid beef stew with the bone broth. Yeah. And like I said earlier, when animals wandered onto his shit farm and died, our boy Daniel Dancer would rejoice, huzzah, dead sheep on my property. So this happened one day. Daniel was just like, holy shit, that's a murder of crows. What's up with them? And he goes up, scares the crows away. There's a dead sheep, and he's like, yeah! And he puts it on the back of his shoulder, and he throws it at his sister. And his sister, no joke, makes something like 36 pies out of this sheep that had clearly died of disease and was pecked at by crows for an hour.
Ugh.
She's like, I did the British thing and made 3 dozen pies.
Ugh.
Did she feed him to other people?
No, they split them
Yeah.
together. The
Okay, as long as they feed them to other people, they know the deal. If you know what you're signing up for, then it's cool.
Tom, we're not dealing with Sueños Todd here, dude. That's a different guy.
Sueños Todd, the famous barber with the wonderful face.
Yeah, the
yeah,
barber of Feet Street.
Was that where he was from?
Yeah, toe job.
Sweet meat. Let's go.
Wait, so Cody, I don't
Yeah.
I don't know if you mentioned this. Maybe I'm drunk and I forgot. Was this a large property, or did he have like a small backyard, like a quarter of an acre?
This is 80 acres of
8. Okay, so he's wandering
80
around.
acres.
This man's wandering around like a scarecrow ass bitch.
yeah.
looking for dogs and
Yeah.
birds.
Okay, I'm going to tap into my sci-fi channel a little bit, or rather my history channel, and imagine that the only Sasquatch that was in England wandered onto his property, died, and instead of reporting it, he made some pants out of it.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can see that. Like Chewbacca
Yeah, it's just a
pants.
possibility. You know, you can't write that off.
that's where I made Star Wars. So Chewbacca's.
Little Chewbacca with his pants.
So he's got like 3 dozen pies. He splits it with his sister. His sister sees this as like a bonus. So she's just like, I'm going to eat all the pies I want. You know what I mean? This is, you know, it was, you know, this sheep dying on her property was an add-on. So she binged on the pies, and Daddy was like, hey, can't be doing that. And he took the rest of her pies and locked it in a trunk. You know what I mean? So every time he wanted a pie or she wanted a pie, they'd have to key open a trunk, take a pie out, eat it, and then key the trunk back closed. Like that's how crazy like he was.
So, I mean, he is not. I mean, we got he's the star of the show, but his sister,
Absolutely.
his sister's got to be fucking weird too.
She's absolutely in there. Like this is all trickled down from their paternal grandfather.
Right.
She's also
Cause she's like, oh,
Pretty
a
bad.
dead. You just dragged home a dead deer. Let me make pies out of it.
yeah, she's along for the ride. I don't quote me on this, but I think people referred to Daniel as the lint ball because he looked like his patchwork coat, and they referred to the sister as the dung pile.
Oh,
So
Oh,
it was lint ball
she's a-
and dung pile. She did not smell great.
She had to have looked like shit too. I mean,
Yeah,
like
she's
really,
not. Yeah.
you know, it gives you some perspective because you grow up and you watch cartoons like the Peanuts and Charles Brown, right?
Yeah.
And in those cartoons, you got Pigpen, who looks funny because he has all the dust lines coming off of him.
He's unique.
Right. But if you saw and smelled said Pigpen in our 3D reality here, you'd be really upset with him. You would
You'd cry.
child protection.
yeah. Calling CPS right away.
Right, exactly. And then if you don't, he grows up and turns into this gentleman who's worth millions of British pounds, but not really.
He's worth fucking something. Let's see. To continue, and he had this weird thing where like everyone didn't hate him. You know what I mean? Yeah, he was a cheapskate, but because he was the hay guy, and like nobody hated him. He wasn't like unwelcome because he was a pillar of like, you know, a commodity input for this, you know, area. So
I
like,
can think of one guy who didn't like him.
who didn't like him?
The guy with the shirts.
The guy with the shirts
Yeah.
must
The
have
guy who
hated him.
sold shirts for a
Anyone
living. He's
working
like,
in
"That
retail
fucking
didn't
asshole."
like him.
Anyone who made shoes
There
too.
you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like fucking, I lost a little fucking $3 tool to that dickhole.
Didn't burn back.
Yeah.
So, a neighbor, he was in good enough terms with one of his neighbors where the neighbor thought it would be a kind gesture to, you know, once the neighbor made a little too much dinner, like, oh, let's bring a plate over to Daniel Dancer and his sister. So this neighbor walks through the cold with like, you know, 2 plates of dinner for these Dancer people. And once the neighbor gets there and hands the plate over to Daniel, Daniel's like, thank you so much. Daniel takes like, you know, the chafing lid off of the dish. And because it was so cold out, the food had congealed.
Oh, okay.
So, or solidified on the plate.
So it was like Hawaiian cuisine because you guys like your like meat jellies and shit.
Yeah, it must have been like a stew or something.
Right.
Or like a slurry. Daniel was still thankful, but he was such a cheapskate that he didn't want to light a fire or burn anything to eat this meal. So, Travis, I'm sure you will like this. He took a pewter bowl turned it upside down bowl, put the food on top of the bowl, put a second pewter bowl over everything, and laid on it like a chicken to heat it back up.
Oh, baby! That's the correct way to eat food.
Yeah, he's eating out of an inverted bowl. I can't believe this when I saw
Where
it.
is my team here? Mike, come on.
I know, that's why I
Mike's-
wanted him to be here. Team
Mike's-
Upside Down Bowl.
Mike's on a date. He has wished my suicide upon me several times. Ah, this is amazing. I tried to do this once when I was
You broke the bowls.
I was in my band studio and I was too drunk to drive. So I tried to put a space heater in front of a cup of ramen noodles.
Did it work?
Did not work. I should have just ate them dry because they just were cold and wet and did not even really loosen up one bit. They were just stiff and wet. It's terrible.
That's what I am right now, hearing about this type of cuisine he's making. Stiff and
Yeah,
wet.
stiff and wet over there. You getting? Oh yeah, that's good.
So I guess like after he warmed it up like a chicken for what must have been hours, he like enjoyed like a concave like mold of like beef or stew. Just like, oh, this is delicious. I warmed it with my ass.
That's how you do it.
Great.
Why not?
So that food came from a neighbor. It wasn't rotten, but everything else he ate was more or less rotten. Because
so the first not rotten thing he got was also like treated
with
like
his
a
butt.
beanbag chair.
Yeah. So Daniel said rotten food was the best because A, it's cheap to attain depending on which garbage can you go to. B, he said rotten meat didn't require spices because it already had its own bouquet going for it.
Ah.
Sick fuck.
It's fermented. Dude, it's kimchi, man.
Yeah, that's what that is.
No.
And C, he said rotten meat, you don't go back for seconds on it. So it saves you money. Again, a third way. You know what I mean? He was like, if this is fresh meat, I just eat all of it and I wouldn't be able to help myself. Because it's rotten, I can only get 2 bites down before, like, my stomach starts, like, gurgling. So he's like,
Right.
hey, I only need to eat twice a day because it's rotten meat.
I'm sure you guys see some irony, the conflicting points of 2 and 3. Like 2 is like, hey, it's already flavored up. And the second time is just like, I want to throw up every time I put it in my mouth. So
Yeah,
I don't
then
need-
just
I don't need
Dude, I
Just to
think
confuse you when you-
I think we're on to making billions right here. Because again, I'm sad Mike's not here because he's the real money man. We just need to market this in California as a diet. Go out and buy your ground beef and like let it sit on your porch for a week.
Yeah, man.
make a pie out of it and lock it in a box.
It's a cool idea. Could you imagine Jordan Peterson's daughter just eating rotten meat on her podcast? Like, I lost 4 pounds.
I like that. That's hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can
Cool
warm up
stuff.
this rotten meat with your butt. Dude, we're even entering the territory of like air fryers and shit. We're like, this is gonna be the next fucking big thing. Throw out your Instapot, throw out your air fryer. Here's 2 fucking lids and sit on it.
I'm not calling
Use
my ass an
ass.
air fryer. Thank you.
Use ass. Make
Organic
sure
air
back
fryer.
with balls are touching. It will yield the best results for heating rotten squirrel
No,
meat.
here's the
Make sure squirrel face is on back of nuts.
Here's the thing, Thomas. You have like a little like vent on it, like a hole at the top of the plate, and you flop your nuts over the hole. So if you want it to get really hot, you don't let that hot air escape. You put your nuts over the hole, and if you want to like kind of heat it up, you lift your nuts up, reveal that hole so you can vent the steam.
If you're into doing that, I mean, the balls would be the quickest way to move without standing.
Yeah,
up,
or
like-
vag lips. Those work too.
Labia,
No.
Travis.
Women's don't cook anymore. They make
Oh,
pies.
that's true.
They make pies out of the rotten meat, and then the men sit on it.
Okay.
Let's go back to traditional values in this country. Women make the pies, men sit on them.
We're going
Okay?
places, yeah. Tom's New America.
It's me and Gavin McGinnis. We're going to figure it out again. Okay? We're going to fix America.
Huzzah. So you might be wondering, like, how stinky is this guy from playing with, gathering garbage and making putrid meat pies all day? And the answer is fairly stinky, which is saying something considering the rest of society is pretty much Victorian England right now.
That's stinky.
Right.
That's pretty stinky. So Daniel didn't like the concept of soap or towels because those would be expended or worn out and would need to be replaced, which costs the money. And he was like, "No, can't cost the money." So he would go to his neighbor's house and be like, "Hey, buddy, can I borrow your pond?" So he would wade down into the pond, rinse himself off. He would reach down into the pond, scoop up some sand, use that all over his face and body as an exfoliant, and then to save himself on the towel, he would get out of the pond and roll around on the dirt.
See, here's the thing.
Dry off.
Ponds are also stinky.
And then using it to get clean and then laying in the dirt to dry off is so counterintuitive. Like, the guy must have had stuff sticking on him.
Dude.
If he's like, I get cleaner by going into pond and rolling in dirt.
We're entering terrare territory with this fucker too.
I thought about him a lot.
Jesus Christ.
He's actually not fat gross. He's pretty ripped because he's lifting fucking hay bales all day and fighting dogs.
One of the big things about Terrare was how stinky he was.
Right. But he gave off a genetically disposed odor.
Yeah.
He was leaking something. He was like a weasel. This guy, he was doing activities that we would now deem you must shower after doing them as his shower.
Yeah.
I showered before this podcast.
You'd get kicked out of LA Fitness if you did what this guy did in the gym and then
absolutely.
you didn't shower off.
Even if LA Fitness was the rest of Victorian England, they'd be like, that guy is smelly and needs to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, Victorian England fucking sucked because that was when they were
just powder.
It was the powder thing. Check this out. So this is when they were figuring out the sewers because the Thames got all fucked up in 1810.
Yeah.
I might be way off on the year, but either way, I know that there was an overflow of the sewage stuff, and the Thames is basically just all human feces for 3 years, and then some engineers were hired to figure out how to run sewer systems. But there was a while there where just the feces on the street was entirely normal.
Well,
and this guy is stinky to them.
Right. So you can actually see how stinky it would have been. You just go to the Ganges.
From the stink lines?
Right. Go to the Ganges now where they just hate toilet paper. As soon as they got their coronavirus lockdown, they weren't running for toilet paper.
Well, yeah, that's very true. They used to throw dead bodies in the Thames. And they do that in fucking Ganges too. Oh, yeah.
They do that now because it's spiritual. Back then, they did it because it was easy. Yeah. Because England was different.
England is always different.
There's no good excuse to throw a body in the river like that. If you're going to get rid of a body, put it in the ocean.
Yeah.
Because there's enough fish in there, it's going to get ate up. It's fine. But just to drag to a river like a ball sack like that, it's not good. Don't do that.
Do it.
So, as you can expect, the mansion fell into a state of disrepair. There was loose ceiling tiles and spreading mold all over the manor, and you could bet that was left that way because our boy Daniel Dancer didn't want to throw any funds towards alleviating said problems. Now, answer me this. When you were a kid, did you ever, need to go outside and then you're wait, I want to have my Walkman or Discman with me. Let me go get that so I can listen to music. And then you realize it's out of battery, so you just steal, the family room's, remote TV battery instead for your Walkman or Discman?
That's oddly specific.
You know what I mean? Just taking batteries from one thing for another.
I did that all the time.
With what?
I remember there was this back massager that my mom kept in her room, and it had all these batteries in it.
Okay.
And so I'd take the batteries out and use my Discman.
With your mom's massager battery.
Listening to Hanson.
Yeah.
With triple D batteries.
Yeah, so Daniel Dancer did this, but instead of batteries, it was nails. So instead of going out and buying a box of nails to use in repairs, he would just take shit out of furniture. There was one time, a fucking shutter fell off of that mansion, and he was just he got caught taking nails out of, a couch to put the fucking, shutter back on, the mansion.
Love that.
So after a certain while, literally everything in the house was held together by only one or two, mismatched nails.
Amazing.
everything would like molding would just fall apart if you like closed a door too loud or too heavily. You know what I mean? Like a picture would just always like fall off the wall.
I gotta say, he's got his priorities in order.
I love it.
Yeah. So Cody, excuse me if I'm jumping ahead or spoiling anything, but how do we know about this man's life? He doesn't seem very like
the writer, like fucking Dickinson used him after he died.
Yeah, but where did Dickinson get all of his info from?
Literally, like
Neighbors and shit.
Yeah, you could from like the guy he dealt with, and this guy lived an open book life. Like you could see what he was up to all day. He was just going through his fucking shitty farm, like picking at carcasses and like saving garbage. So it was fairly open book. He wasn't a miser in that he did hang out with a few people in circles, and he had business partners. So because of like the transactional like part of his fucking life, we can see that because the other half of the transaction is an account.
And also that tells you a little bit extra about him is that he's doing all the shit without any shame. Like he's like, dude, I fucking dragged that sheep out of the backyard. Was that
absolutely
yours?
No shame.
Well,
absolutely no shame.
Would it be fair to say that we learned a lot because of like ancestral stuff? Because he has a famous relative today who's alive, Ted Danson.
Oh,
he is.
Yeah, okay.
He's actually related to Daniel Dancer. I mean, slight change in the name.
Yeah, Ellis Island, right?
Ellis Island. But Tony Danson. He's always going on about his Middlesex relatives. ran the family money down into the ground by not spending any money.
Yeah.
He's actually doing an incredible job like sustaining like the wealth of this farm on paper. He's doing it by living like a fucking animal from like the Neolithic age, but his farm is actually prospering on paper. Keep that in mind.
Amazing.
That's crazy.
So this guy's such a cheapskate. He crosses the line with fucking animal abuse. He refused to have his horse fully shoed. He's just like, the hind legs don't need shoes because the front ones are in the front. Those ones need the shoeing. So can I get a half off on shoeing my horse? And the blacksmith would just be like, you're insane.
So I'm not a horseman. I'm not a equine boy.
Equestrian.
Yeah, I'm not an equine boy. But like, I think it's funny that like horses are like the only animal that needs shoes. Because you could put a dog in shoes, but it doesn't want to have shoes.
Well, they like step weird. Like if you've seen a dog in shoes, they're like very uncomfortable. But the horses seem to not mind.
Yeah, but like you see a horse in nature, and it's like, where's my fucking shoes, idiot? I need them.
What is the point of horseshoes? I'm so far removed from horses. I think they're terrible animals. What is the point of the shoe?
Okay, when the horse is in the wild or feral, they're totally okay because they're not burdened with extra like weight from a handler. If horses don't need shoes to sustain themselves. As soon as you ask a horse to ride with a person or any type of cargo, then they need shoes because that's superseding their own body weight.
What is this, like the NBA?
Yeah.
Like they get in the NBA. Oh, I got a job in the NBA. I need shoes now.
Yeah, right?
Metal ones, too.
I think they're asking a lot. I think horses, tall dogs are fucking dicks.
Tall dogs, yeah.
Tall dogs, yeah. I'm not a fan. They look majestic to some, but let's leave it at that.
I mean, I do like horses. I just always was like, why the hell do they need shoes?
I'm going to go with I don't get horses. I'm not going to shit on horses. Because I know a lot of people like them.
Yeah.
And they probably are like, oh, they're useful. I don't know anything about them. To me, they're weird.
They're nature's motorcycle.
You can't walk behind them in fear of being kicked. Anything that you're in fear of being kicked by, not my friend.
Yes.
Anyway, enough of horses. I just wanted to know why they actually needed shoes. I think you clarified that wonderfully.
You're welcome. Footnote, Dancer would say like it was cruel to not let a horse feel grass on its own hooves. So that's another reason he was just like, only do the front hooves. But if you imagine, like, that's got to be even worse for the horse. Because imagine like going for a walk with shoes, without shoes, and then only one shoe.
Yeah.
Which would you prefer?
I've walked home drunk with one shoe on before.
Did you take that shoe off?
No, because I was drunk. And it's already hard walking home drunk. And I imagine that like having a man riding on your back would be the similar to walking home drunk, but to do one shoe makes it harder.
Yeah, I'd rather have no shoes than one shoe, honestly.
That sounds like gospel.
Yeah, I mean, you're following my logic, dog. You know, I'm preaching. Preach it. Long dogs, hit me up. Long dogs.
Let's talk about Bob, who was a long dog. He was a regular dog.
Oh, Reg's dog. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
Bob was a regular dog. Bob was fucking Daniel Dancer's dog. And Dancer would give him the meat that was too spoiled to eat. The dog would be like, yeah, awesome, super spoiled meat. One day, this dog named Bob got a little bitey at a neighbor's sheep livestock.
Okay.
And the neighbor like drags Bob back to Daniel Dancer and is like, hey, your dog's causing trouble at my farm. Make sure he stays out or there might be a fucking lawsuit, buddy. And Daniel Dancer's like, oh, I assure you, this dog will never bother you or your sheep again. And some people think it would be too cruel to kill a dog over such a trivial thing like that. But our boy Daniel Dancer had the dog's teeth filed down instead.
Oh.
No more biting neighbor sheep for this dog. Poor Bob.
Dude,
It would be way less cruel to turn him into some Bob Evans. You know, just let
Yeah.
him go instead of turning him into a vegan. That would be fucking weird.
that's like people that declaw cats, man. Fuck
Yeah.
that noise.
So
yeah, when it comes to cats, just don't have that.
No, just get.
They're wild animals.
They're not
they
wild
poop in
animals,
the house.
Tom.
They
They don't
poop in
like
the
you.
house.
They poop in the
Yeah,
house.
so do
Put them
I.
outside. All right.
All right.
We're never going to meet eye to eye on this one
Cody.
because you're a filthy animal.
Cody, I poop in the house. Does that make me a filthy animal? Where do you poop?
Yeah.
I don't poop on the sidewalk like a disgusting dog. And then I had
Well,
to
I
have
mean, at
someone
least
else.
it's not in the
Cody,
house.
okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna be civilized here, Tom. And Cody, next time we hang out, I'm just gonna take a shit like when we're out drinking at a bar behind the bar, and you're gonna have to fucking scoop it up for me.
Is this Travis yours?
Okay. What do you want? Okay. Sure. I'll do it. Fine. I'll walk over there and scoop it up or perhaps walk away. You'll have to find out later. I don't know. Look, all I'm going to say is that an officer of the law, God bless them, if they saw you pooping, they're not going to be mad at me, another man, for not picking it up.
Tom's not
They're going to
pooping.
put you in jail because that's ain't so civilized.
Yeah, so I could be civilized and just poop inside like a cat.
Cody, please take us away from this one. Poor Bob Evans.
To prevent
Please.
theft, our boy Daniel Dancer would seldom even leave, town, let alone his manor. He would hide money all over the fucking place. He would hide it behind bricks in the fireplace. He would hide valuable metals in the soot of the fireplace. He would put a lockbox in all the cow manure, even. He would put bricks of fucking banknotes behind, like, way back in a drawer. So, like, if you opened it, like, 2 or 3 times gently, you would never see it. But as soon as you, like, sling the door open hard, like, a brick would come tumbling forward. Wasn't a banked man.
You have a relative that does that.
Shh. Yes. Yes, I do, Travis.
Amazing.
I have a person in my family that also does not believe in banks and used to hide stuff everywhere. And she kept it in tinfoil so it wouldn't burn in case there was a house fire.
I was talking. Yeah, that's a little silly. I gotta say, pretty silly. But I was talking to a friend of ours, a mutual friend of all of ours, and she was. I was like, yeah, these bank things really been bothering me recently. And she works at a bank. She knows all about them. And she said, banks are bad. And I was like,
Dope.
oh my god, no way.
Thanks for that. Did you tip
No,
her?
if that's new information to you, those debanked crazy people are not as crazy as you think.
Yeah. Except my relative.
Zwick, you might want to cut that out because there was no joke there. It's more of a lesson on
I got
how to
it.
keep your
No,
money.
but it's also like if you have anything valuable, boof it. Take it out when you need to poop. Poop it.
Wow, so it's just like a retainer, but for your butt?
Well, I mean, I'm talking from a male standpoint because women already hide their valuables and monies underneath their tatas. I don't have large enough breasts. I don't have large enough breasts to have that investment property real estate. So I have to poof.
Keto's a tap out.
I have to poof,
Well,
dude.
yeah, you're. So what? You're giving up?
Well, I can't. I can
Keto
only
went up?
hide I can only hide like quarters under my boobs. That's a lot for a man.
Like
Well,
a
I'm just
roll
saying.
or flat?
Order a few more dollar meals every day, and you'll be able to put entire gold bricks under there.
Okay, all right.
But he'd lose the quarters if he orders off the dollar menu.
Look at you, Ron Paul. All right.
My 600-pound bank.
And in addition to prevent theft of his fortune, he boarded up every door and window in the house. So total barricade in the house. This is kind of what he needed all those nails for that he like stole out of like the fucking furniture and shit.
Uh-huh.
So,
That's disturbing. Now, if he was fixing one thing with another thing, yeah, it makes sense. But it's like just buy the nails so you can keep your furniture.
yeah.
Yeah. This isn't Call of Duty Zombies, dude. You don't need to put boards up on your windows.
Well, he did just that because he didn't want anyone going in or out of his house except for him. And the way he would go in is he would have a ladder to a second-story secret-y window that looked boarded up but actually wasn't. And then he would climb the ladder, pop in there, and then pull the ladder up behind him so there's no way in once he's in. So he's like that type of fucking paranoid over his fortune. And just so you know, like once he pulled the ladder in, it's not like he went to bed or like stared at the fire. He like kind of stood ready, like kung fu ready at the secret entrance, like waiting for like people to come in still. It's like maybe somebody would have saw me and brought their own ladder. So I'm gonna like stare at the only way in as I fucking, you know what I mean?
So this is a property on 80 acres.
Yes.
It's a house on 80 acres. So the chances of someone watching him are almost nil. Because I'm assuming it's somewhere located an acre in, which is pretty hard to see. Even like 2 acres in. It's just like,
Yeah, but sir, he could have been trailed.
True, he could have been
Trailed.
trailed. They want him for his nails.
They could have been hiding
He's
in the
at-
hay.
They keep hearing about his nails and his hay.
Yeah, I've been like, damn, girl, I love your nails and hey.
It's amazing what you can do when you're mentally retarded. Continue,
Indeed.
Cody.
Before we move on, I want to talk to you about one of the things he would also his side hustle, his snuff box side hustle. So he would have this snuff box, right?
Okay.
He didn't take snuff, but he would go around fucking everywhere to like, you know, every time he made like a quote unquote hay deal, he would bring this snuff box and then he would ask, you know what I mean, whoever, you know, was buying off of him or who was trading, spare a pinch of snuff. And the person was just like, of course, you can have a little bit of my snuff tobacco.
It's basically free.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know what snuff is, it's tobacco you snort. I'm
Yes.
assuming you do know. So we've talked about it before.
So he's like, can I bum a pinch of snuff? So he'd take a bit of snuff off of them and then put it in his snuff box instead of enjoying it on the spot. Once his snuff box was full from this, like, you know, procedure of asking everyone he dealt with for a pinch, he would go to the general store and dump the contents on the counter and be like, candles, please. And he would make those candles last long enough that he could refill his snuff box. So this is how he afforded light.
Wait, so he bummed so many cigarettes that he was able
pinches
to
of
see?
snuff. Yeah.
Well, I know, but this is the modern day comparison.
Yeah. This is
He was able.
This is the
So he
equivalent
was
of
able
being like, can I bum a cigarette until you have an entire like box of mismatching cigarettes, and then you sell the box. No, the contents of the box. You're keeping the box because you're so fucking cheap, and then like you just do that instead of paying an electric bill.
It's amazing.
That's great.
Maybe I'll start bringing some cigarettes over to PSEG. I'll go to the reservation.
Yeah, you like throw them on the floor like they're pigeons. Like,
Could you imagine going into that fucking terrible office? And they'd be like, "Oh, 2 cartons of unnamed American, Native American cigarettes. Well, that will be 1 year of free power."
look at you go.
Dude, so this guy's smart.
I
He's
knew.
got 18th century gasoline and 18th century electricity.
He's doing it.
Wow,
Smart.
He's doing it. He's super doing it.
it's truly insane. I enjoy it.
So, I'm not sure which of these next two events happened, but let's go in this order. So remember how I was like, Bob is extra like kung fu stance vigilant, waiting for thieves to break in? Some thieves did break in, and it was like a good amount of fucking thieves. It was like fucking half a dozen of them or something.
He was tailed, sir.
He was tailed. They're like hiding in the hay, or they just, heard via like someone else. Like this weirdo, uses the second story entrance, and he's got a shitload of money back there.
Yeah, a bunch of Jason Stathams come fucking jumping through your window.
No, Travis. Daniel Dancer was the Jason Statham. He killed half of those guys.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, he kills a bunch of thieves trying to like break into the house. The other half, hightail it out of there, never to fuck with him again. So remember that theory of like, he must be ripped. You know what I mean? Eating like a handful of beef and moving hay bales all day. And the answer is like, yeah, I think so.
See, okay, so I know you mentioned that he's like the inspiration for Ebenezer Scrooge and Scrooge McDuck. Imagine if he was like, if Dickens followed him more to the T and like these ghosts show up. Like, ooh, I'm the ghost of Christmas past. And he just like, brother, and fucking snaps her neck, even though it's a ghost.
I would pay for that adaptation.
Yeah.
Like John Cena as Ebenezer Scrooge, 2022.
Yeah.
That would be fun. I like that very much.
John Cena's getting so much FaceTime. He's in the new like Fast and Furious shit. Did you see that?
Well, yeah. The only thing I heard about it was the whole him apologizing about calling Taiwan a country.
Oh yeah, that was a whole
place,
fucking thing.
A place that recognizes themselves as a country, but then China was just like,
no money for you.
Yeah, so cut this shit out. But that was
quickly.
That,
Hurry up.
That was the fucking trailer I was working on with that fucking dick bag.
Oh really?
Yeah,
that's.
So I knew John
amazing.
Cena was in it for a while. I couldn't see him at all, but
not for Ayerswick.
It's just like, well, I'd have to assume that empty car seat that's driving itself is one John Cena, because no one else is being seen there.
That's not an autonomous
hold on.
vehicle. That's
now let's
John
cut
Cena.
back in here, Zwick. I'm just giving you a leeway back in. But imagine if that's where you started your story, Cody. A man with his prized possessions, who has worked so hard to keep his things to himself, to secure his future, has been compromised by 6 dirty Englishmen with dirty English accents. He prevails. He murders all 3 of them.
Murders 3.
And afterwards goes, don't tread on me.
and then has a fine feast of rotten meat.
Yeah.
Protein, rotten protein.
Now we're starting off with a different show, because that's not roast mortem in its heart.
That's Joe Rogan.
That's Joe Rogan. That's he has that guy in the show. He goes, my friend Brian Callen probably didn't rape someone, but I don't talk to him anymore.
Joe Rogan's 5'3".
Oh my God.
Did you see that?
No.
Apparently somebody hired one of those planes that spell shit out, and
I just wrote Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan is 5'3" over LA.
That's amazing.
It's pretty good. I'd do that.
Yeah.
So our subject tonight, dancers, killed some fuckers, and the local court was just like, can you explain? We're not going to throw you in jail, but why are there 3 corpses on your property? You know what I mean? It's kind of like he wasn't, sought for charges. He was kind of just like, just explain why you killed 3 guys in the middle of the night. And Daniel Dancer was like, fine. A friend of Daniel Dancer, whose name was Lady Tempest. Lady, like the title, and her last name was actually Tempest. So not a porn star, but just a cool name.
Sound like a porn star, but yeah.
Yeah. Lady Tempest was just like, oh, you have to go into court. Would you like to be more presentable for court? I can buy you a new T-shirt. Or not a T-shirt, just shirt in general. I can buy you a new shirt.
Let's go T-shirt.
I can
Let's
buy
have
you,
fun with T-shirts.
I can buy
Kiss
you
me,
a
I'm
new
Irish.
roast mortem graphic tee available on our store. And Daniel Dancer was like, no thanks. This shirt's 3 weeks old only.
Oh.
So he was like that type of guy.
Got a freshie.
That didn't want roast mortem merch, but it is also this grime bucket that just wears shirts for 3 weeks at a clip. Sometimes more.
Yeah. Well, that filthy animal that would not purchase a roast mortem T-shirt. What Howard's he gonna get laid at the
I
bar?
don't know. Yeah.
Also, I'm
Yeah.
assuming, Cody, because you haven't gone into it, since he's so frugal with his money, I'm sure he's not swooning and crooning the women,
Nope.
because that's more
Women are
that's money
expensive.
you've got to spend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think women actually realize that, even though they've probably heard it a million times. Men spend a lot of money on you,
Mhm.
and if it goes the other way,
That's fine too.
There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, that's
I
you might
appreciate
spend a
that.
lot of money on a guy. Yeah, that's fine.
Well-
but generally, the if you put your thumb in your ass and then put that same thumb up in the air, you'll watch the money go one way, and it's fine.
Yes.
It really is. I'm happy to.
Well,
do
also
it.
he smells
way.
terrible, and he's
He
dressed
does smell
as-
terrible.
He's dressed in fucking hay and clods.
But this Lady Tempest was like always hanging out because she thought like he was a troubled person that needed guidance and help. So she was kind of always around, but not living with him on like a friend basis. Like she would like invite. It was this weird like relationship where like she would go into his kitchen, make dinner with her stuff, and Daniel Dancer's dinner would be her scraps.
So she'd eat the rotten meat.
No, she would bring her meat.
Oh, okay,
You know what I mean? So she'd like make a beef Wellington for one or whatever.
right.
And then there'd be leftover dough and meat, like just laying on the cutting board. And Daniel Dancer would just go in and eat that while she ate her beef Wellington.
Ah,
So this is like, it's not cuckold territory. It's more of like it's kind of like if there was a cuckold, but there was no other man.
There is
it's
no
just
other
like-
man. Lady Tempest is a widow at this point.
Right, and she's just stepping all over his balls and hanging out, and he's like,
Yeah, she's
"Oh,
trying
I
to get
love
him.
it."
She's trying to teach him how to be. You know what I mean? She's trying to buy him a
Right.
shirt when he's going to court
Right,
and like all that stuff.
just being embarrassed. He likes being embarrassed.
yeah. No, I don't think he knows
pretty
what
cool.
embarrassment is, Tom. This is too far
No,
gone.
that's a good point.
So 1766 rolls around and Daniel Dancer's sister gets gravely ill. We can just guess tuberculosis. Let's just guess tuberculosis is going around. And Daniel Dancer's sister gets gravely ill. And she's just like, Daniel, call me a doctor. And Daniel's like, those cost money, though. So he's like, no, bitch, we're not doing a doctor. Get better or die. And that's pretty much his stance on it. He's like, we're not paying for this. She has her own like small fortune, but he's just like, we'd be suckers if we paid for this. We won't be able to get back the money. We pay the doctors for this. So no, figure this out on your own.
Well, why didn't she pay for it?
She's a woman.
She doesn't want him to. Or like he's shamed her into not paying
Oh,
for it.
okay.
Thinking like that's the only and proper answer.
Gotcha.
It's like we do
Also-
not pay for doctors. And this is
I
like a
also
family
like-
thing too, by the way. Like she heard this from her father, maybe.
Right.
I also like how we've approached this subject. Like, Cody, you're being very generous. You're going, let's say TB, very realistic, but also forgetting the history of dozens of years of eating rotten meat.
Don't forget it. Yeah.
Yeah, perhaps catching up with this dancing sister.
Yeah, she replaced all of her large and small intestine with tapeworms.
Economic.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Daniel Dancer, why should I waste my money in wickedly and wantonly trying to oppose the will of God? If the girl, his sister, by the way, is come to her latter end, nothing can save her, and all I may do will only tend to make me lose my money. And she may as well die now as any other time. So he's just
There's a
like,
lot to unpack right there, but let me ask you something. Did you just try to say the word wantingly?
It didn't wantonly.
Wonton.
Wantonly?
Yeah,
Yeah, Old
wonton
English
means
word.
like stupidly or like
Yeah, it's spelt the same way
Yeah.
as the Chinese wonton.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Tom, you look a little
Wonton
bit
destruction.
disoriented,
Yeah.
which you can check out a review of the description on patreon.com/postmortemcast.
I think we better take that term wantonly and disorient it
Yeah.
quite a bit and just clarify that
In
that
jokes.
is that is very much so not a dig on any type of hate. Let me ask you something, Cody.
Yes.
You say the word "won" very strange, like
Won.
you won something. Very yeah. You say it's
Won.
strange. No,
Won.
you're fooling the audience now. That's
Yeah.
not how you say it. No, now he's being weird. So Travis, you understand why I had to pick that
Yes,
apart,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, so okay.
Got the weird
unpack-
accent.
Let's unpack a little bit of that. Bitch is dying. Costs money to keep her not dying.
Yes.
What's the problem here?
Daniel said if she needed blood, he'd give her his, but because it was money, it's a no-go. So he values money in higher regard than his own blood in his circulatory system.
Well, even more than that, with that quote you just read, it's almost like he's like footing the bill to God. He's like, oh well, it's not my fault, it's God's fault, because like if it's God wants it to happen, then I guess I can't pay any money. Like, you know what I mean? He's like, dude, you could totally like get that, but like I'm not gonna throw in on it, but like I'll have some of that if you want. Like,
if you're going down on those mozzarella sticks, I'll take one.
Yeah, like you could get like the party teaser at Buffalo Wild Wings appetizers, but like I'm not throwing down, but I'll eat some.
Yeah, it's not honestly as bad as like those people who believe in power of prayer and then like their children die.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
they're out in like somewhere in the middle of the country and they have a big property and they have like 3 Chevy Tahoes.
Yeah.
And they're like, they have all the resources in the world to just go to the store and get Tylenol, but they let their kids die. I think that's a lot worse than this one. So I see a little play here.
yeah.
You can make an argument.
So, big surprise, 1776, his sister dies of whatever ailment that, Dancer decided not to get a doctor for. So, like, you can look at it as, like, her blood is on his hands.
I don't.
At his sister's funeral, your boy Daniel Dancer splurged and bought 2 secondhand pairs of stocking to put, himself in adequate mourning. So he's like, this'll be my black for the funeral, and he just.
So he wore drag.
I'm confused by that too, and I'm wondering if like he put like one stocking over his head and the other over his ball sack.
No,
he's like, I miss my sister.
Men used to wear stockings back then.
I know, but it's sillier if it's over his head and ball sack, Travis.
But
it is fun.
But also, I'm kind of surprised that she even had a funeral. Well, that's a waste of money. It's
a lot of money.
She's got 80 acres.
And Travis, you remember that. You remember what you just said.
Okay.
How funerals are a lot of money.
Yeah.
So she's dead. He like mourns her even though he half kills her. And then here comes the family drama. Because she had a little fortune of her own, your boy Daniel Dancer, the miser, was naturally like, mine. Give it to me. It is mine. I am her brother. Give me the money. But if you can remember, there was 2 other brothers in the picture because they were siblings 4. So one brother, Daniel Dancer, and then 2 other brothers. So these 2 other brothers were like coming out of the woodwork. And it's like, hey bro, want to go even splitsies on our, dearly departed sister's earthly, goods? And Daniel Dancer, to no like surprise, was like, no, it's mine, all of it.
Yeah. You guys didn't half kill her, so you don't get half the money.
Exactly. So it went to court.
So are his other brothers? Do you know if his other brothers are like just regular ass dudes?
They must be like penny pinchers in their own right because all the kids are. Right. It's just Daniel's the worst. They might have like the better end of the stick because we're not talking about them tonight on this episode. Yeah. But you can see like kind of like miniature versions of like this miser. Mm-hmm. So, huge, lengthy court battle comes out. Brothers are like, splitsies. Dancer is just like, all me. So, the court decision turned out as follows. It's an even splitsies, but Daniel Dancer somehow convinced the judge to let him retroactively charge his dead sister for 30 years worth of room and board. Before the split.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's how you make money.
Yeah.
That's how you make money. So, just so you know, Daniel Dancer charged his dead sister £30 per year. And the last 2 years she was alive, he added 2 70-pound surcharges claiming she was a lazy asshole that just ate and slept all day.
This is smart. This is how you do economics.
So this came out to a sum of 1,040 pounds that he invoiced his dead sister, took a bunch of her money before the even split, and he still got a third of that even split.
Amazing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he left his other brothers nothing but crumbs. And then when they were looking at the crumbs, he's like, hey, I still want a third of those fucking crumbs. So our boy is old now. He's in, his fucking 70s by the time like this drama with like his sister wraps up. So being 70 and, eating rotten meat for decades and living in a drafty, like boarded up mansion and, fighting dogs, for all these years actually takes a toll on his health, but only in his 70s. He gets, mystery, Victorian sickness. Let's also assume that's fucking, the consumption or tuberculosis.
Or it could be scarlet fever.
That too. So, true to his, style, he's just like, no doctors, please. Which meant the girl, Lady Tempest, had to, cared for him in his final months, I think, because he refused to see a doctor, and that was wild. That she looked out for him, even though he's like, I'm not paying anyone, but I'll take free help. I'll take your free kindness.
See, this is why this is definitely like a mental fucking thing, because this guy has no children.
The money goes nowhere.
Yeah, the money goes nowhere. So if you're fucking dying, why don't you just buy a doctor?
He just wants the number to be high.
I know, yeah.
He wants his money to be a high score that he leaves.
Yeah, look at me. I got Donkey Kong, name number 1.
This will get ridiculous in a second once we go through the postmortem, Travis. But he's dying. I think Lady Tempest was like, I know what'll cheer you up. A new hat. I will get you a new hat, and that will cheer you up. Because his hat at the time was 14 years old.
That's not so bad. Get a new hat.
Yeah. New hat.
A new hat always
hat.
cheers me up.
Yeah. So she goes out. And, well, first of all, Daniel's like, no new hats. Don't spend money on me.
I hate new hats.
Yes. So she's like, oh, don't be silly. I'll get you a 1 shilling hat. It won't be expensive, but it'll be new. So Daniel's like, a 1 shilling hat does sound nice. Thank you. So she goes out. She gets him a 1 shilling hat. She puts it on his head. And then, she cares for him for the day and then leaves. And the next day, she comes back and he's got the 14-year-old hat on again. And she's like, where'd the new thing go? He's like, I sold it to my butler for a profit.
Wow! Wait, he had a butler?
Yes, to fill in the void that his sister left him, he hired a man that also served as his butler. It was a 68-year-old dude named Griffiths who got a few shillings, room and board out of it, but he was also kind of like the valet and would bring bones from nearby cities back to Daniel as part of their living agreement. For soup.
Okay.
For soup.
Bones for soup.
Yeah, Griffiths. I don't think he talked very much. He also was a big believer of just like, got hay. Can make a bed out of it. Can make a coat out of it. He was like, down
Two
with
guys
that.
talk about hay in the VFW, like going at it. Like, remember that time I made a bed out of hay, woke up sneezing. Not bad. It's okay. Can walk outside, stop sneezing for free.
That one,
It's good outside.
that one time in Nam, it rained hay for 2 days.
Yeah, no one took it home with them, but I snuck it home with me. Very rich man, almost $1,400 worth of hay.
Wow. It's a huge amount that got by customs. Thomas, ask me how he died.
Oh, thanks. I haven't asked this in a while. How does Daniel Dancer, the world's finest Meisonier, die?
Surprisingly, the new hat thing didn't work. He's like, oh no. He still died of his mystery fever. Lady Tempest was the one to find his body when he passed away in 1794, age 78, eating rotten meat and fighting dogs all his life.
It's not bad, dude.
Pretty
We
good.
got to bring this fucking diet to Cali, I'm saying. If he could live to
Rotten keto.
78 in the 18th century, I mean, come on, dude. You could live to like 110 easily nowadays eating rotten meat.
So,
Yeah, boy.
not having any children, he willed his entire vast fortune to the Lady Tempest. But the thing is, while she was taking care of him, she got sick herself and died right after him.
Oh, fuck.
So her heirs inherited the shit farm with the fun house that's crumbling because of the nail game that Daniel. So that's yours, random strangers.
I hope they didn't try to flip it real quick because you said he hid shit in the walls and stuff.
Travis, that's exactly the fun game that was left behind. Like, the fucking ceiling can come down and kill you, but there's money in the walls. Like,
I'm staying inside.
yeah, like,
Give me a hard hat.
no one died, but this family was like, it was fun as shit, like looking for monies in all the weird places. They found 2,500 pounds in the cow patties.
Wow.
Ah!
Like behind, like, and I think like behind like fucking every like stone in the fireplace was like a fucking like 50-pound note or something like that.
A ruby.
This is a lot of money.
Yeah, and all the teapots in the house had cash in them.
How many teapots did he have?
He's English.
Was he a teapot
He's
dude?
English.
True. So you legally have to have 10.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
lived over there. I know. It's about 10.
Did you have your T card?
I had a T visa.
The T visa, okay.
They only required me to have
Pretty cool.
5.
Yeah, so money was everywhere. Like Lady Tempest's heirs like had a great time. No one died. They found money everywhere. They didn't flip the house too quickly, as Travis said. Good anticipation, Travis. But they were doing all that. They found it. At the time of his death, Daniel's miserly ways boosted the farm's output and earning potential by tenfold. It used to make about 300 pounds a year. When Daniel died, it was making 3,000, sometimes
Shit.
4,000 pounds a year.
And he was sitting on over 200,000 in just his cow shit.
The cow shit was a particularly good find because it topped out like the cash is at $2,500, 2,500 pounds. So like they found a lot, like that was the biggest score, but they found a bunch of little scores like that throughout the house.
Okay, very cool.
Oh yeah, all of the fucking bedding and the couches were stuffed too. Like
I'm sure, yeah. Well, that's the first place you go.
he was taking out nails, so he might as well be like, oh, let's hide money in this.
There's space here. I don't know what it is with these weird people who shove money places, but they always think like the furniture, no one's gonna look there.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first place people are gonna look.
I don't know. I just
Now,
threw out a whole
like,
bunch of furniture. I hope my deceased relatives didn't stuff cash in them. I didn't rip them open.
Well, if you did, it's useless anyway. Ask Biden.
So I want to do a quick little rewind to show you how mentally unwell this man was with fortune gathering and building. There was an episode while he was sick that he thought he was going to die. So he's like, oh, this is it. Going out today. Here we go. So the penny pincher he tried to save on labor for his upcoming mortician, whoever it may be. So he got naked, zipped himself up in like a burlap sack, and then put a bag over his head and laid down to die in his fucking manger, hoping that it would save labor on the mortician's part. It's like, oh, he bagged himself up. We can knock 10 pounds off of our charges because he to-go containered himself.
Yeah,
for
you
us.
don't need to bag me up.
Look at this. So he's trying to save money after he's dead. This literally shows he just wants the number to go up.
Yeah.
He's not about having fucking nice things or anything. He just wants the big number.
Could you imagine had he actually died there and the detective who looks very much like David Duchovny coming in there going like, this must have been some weird cult stuff.
Exactly. Lady Tempest.
Strange cult behavior. I think I've seen this before in a book on Wikipedia or something because it's the past and the future. This reference is hard to pull off.
Lady Tempest found him. And she was just like, what are you doing? And he was just like, I came into this world without a shirt, and I'm leaving it without a shirt. But I highly doubt he came into the world in a burlap bag, though.
Hey, David,
Daniel.
you do have shirts.
Yeah.
Daniel, you do
What are you
have
trying to
shirts.
say about his mom, Cody?
She had a burlap sack in her uterus?
Yeah, no, you're saying his mom's like has a burlap vagina?
burlap apple?
Well, his dad was also a miser, so he probably turned to his wife as like, honey, aim for the sack. So yeah, this psycho wanted to pinch pennies even after he was dead.
Dang.
He's like, let's save the mortician some labor. So
Amazing.
yeah, and I told you the fucking family had the greatest Easter egg hunt of all time in this like dilapidated old like barricaded up fucking manor. I don't know. I'm gonna look through my notes. This guy was fucking wild.
So I think, Cody, like, this has been, I think, one of the coolest roast boredoms we've done in a while. I love roasts like this. These are my favorite. Roast people.
Making
Grossers.
Yeah, making fun of people with mental illness and deformities is the finest
It's so hot
way
right
to spend
now.
an evening.
So good. So easy. The lowest hanging fruit. Because I'm like Bacchus. Like,
Yum.
I lay on a couch, and I just hope someone drops grapes in my mouth.
Right. Well, we just dropped some sour grapes in there.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I wanted to know, because I'm just so curious, we haven't roasted Dickens yet, right? No. But he was alive in the 1800s, right?
Yes.
So,
I think. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know when he was born, but did he? I'm just trying to see how he got this information. You know what I mean? Like was this guy like a legend? Like in his in Middlesex?
Okay. Let me like put this. Let me put this on you, local style, Travis.
Yeah.
Imagine if Stormin' Norman, like you found out, Stormin' Norman, for those of you playing along at home, is this like crazy guy that drives around the village, we went to high school in a tricycle and just feels men's biceps as they pass.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I have actually been sexual assaulted many times by that guy, and I think it's funny. So I don't really want to hear you bitches complaining about shit.
Yeah.
So imagine you find out he dies and he was actually rich, even though he walked around in rags. And like you would immediately want to know what that's about. So like think pieces were published on him, like, you know what I mean? The man who nearly died in burlap, even though he had X thousands and thousands of pounds.
Right. So even if
on 80 acres.
Even if Dickens was born like say 10 years later and he matures,
He was
20 years, like this guy's going to be
He was born 18 years after.
Okay.
I just did some math.
born 18 years after. So this guy was
Yeah,
enough
in
of
1812.
a legend in it.
Yes,
That-
good.
Legend.
Like Dickens could like snoop around and like, because Dickens was probably a weirdo. He's like the modern day equivalent of people into cryptids and shit. Like, so he's like looking around and reading all these old things and like interviewing people, probably old men that are still alive that talk to this guy.
Wait, why is a guy who writes about orphans like a cryptid dude?
Dude,
have you ever met a cryptid person?
I mean, orphans are kind of like cryptids. They're just
They are a
children of
little
the
bit
night.
like cryptids. Yeah, you're right.
Children that don't
Well-
have parents and say like, "Ma, please."
Right.
Set
So
Mo.
creepy.
It's creepy, dude. Imagine if
The
you saw
weird
that
thing
in the
is-
street right now, you'd be like, "Cryptid, get out of here! Get out of here, you fucking gross!"
Cryptid!
Cryptid.
Yeah. We don't see children outside anymore. They're on their 23-hour Zoom classes.
Yeah. If I see one in the outside at night, I'm going, "Cryptid, you ugly!" Ah!
Yeah. So here's the interesting thing I like about Daniel Dancer. We have the real life guy, Daniel Dancer. We have his one part, 1 degree of separation fictional counterpart as Ebenezer Scrooge. And then we have the 2 parts removed with Scrooge McDuck. And the weird thing is, as far as like miserly conduct goes, I would actually rate it like Ebenezer Scrooge, Daniel Dancer, then Scrooge McDuck. Because Ebenezer Scrooge isn't ridiculous. He's a mean ass that doesn't hand out coal on Christmas and, pinches pennies, but he didn't like fucking do animal abuse or kill fuckers for fortune. Whereas Scrooge McDuck does all these crazy things, sometimes involving, what's his name? Launchpad McQuack, and diving into vaults of gold. That's insane.
Well, that might be insane, but he also owns a helicopter. Our guy Daniel Dancer didn't own a shirt. He had
fair enough.
one A shirt, and then decided when that shirt was burnt out after 360 days of wearing it,
He'd go
that he would
shirtless
get-
for 5 more days.
Right. Scrooge McDuck was just like, "Oh, I'm cheap," but then you look at his assets, and it's like, you're not cheap. You're a tax
Yeah,
haven.
Daniel Dancer reminds me of like a Rust character. You know that video game where it's all these naked men running around?
Yeah, cavemen
building-
with AK-47s.
Building stupid ass fucking houses because they only have like 3 nails. Like that's like
Yeah,
shouting
okay,
at
I get
people.
that.
Yeah, Daniel Dancer definitely goes next
Yeah.
level. Like cheap people, like really rich people are cheap. famously, I believe Don Cheadle is a terrible tipper.
Oh no.
Yeah, like don't be a pizza boy and go to his house. He'll give you like $1 in 2012. Like, thanks for coming out, you essential worker. Here's $1. Rich people are like that, and the richer I get, the cheaper I'll become. And
That's
the
how you
poorer
stay
I
rich.
get, the more frivolous I'll become.
Yeah, you just got to eat the meat. That's a little rancid, so it's got its own flavor, but you don't need to eat too much of it. And kill a few thieves every now and then, Tom.
Look, I don't think I could do it. I think I'm too normal.
Yeah,
Too much of a role model to children.
coming soon to the Bay Area, the roast diet. It's going to be expensive foie gras. I want you to get Wagyu beef, and
That's how
then
you say it.
leave it out on your porch. 2 weeks, cook it kind of with your butthole.
With your butt, yeah.
Yeah.
You got to cook things with your
Cook
butt.
it with your butthole. There's the
Right,
21st century. You realize that the hotter it gets, the further in your body. So we came up with this new device to sell more things. You shove the beef into this tube. You shove it right up there, so it cooks faster, and then you eat it,
Wow.
and you lose weight.
I'm sure Joe Rogan has been doing
Yeah.
this.
On it.
And we're
In it.
about to take him to court.
Init.com. That's
Unfortunately-
Travis's invention title.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Spotify will be paying for his lawyers. So we won't be able to make a lot of money on this deal. But it's not because we're trying to make money. It's because we care. We're trying to make our money on patreon.com/roastmortemcast. And we're trying to make our money at roastmortemcast.com. That's where you can buy some shirts and shit. Mike is never going to have one, but you aren't Mike. So go buy one, folks. And go to patreon.com. Give us some money. We've been a little better with our content, I guess, if you want to call it that. Content.
Guess what? If you're stingy like this fucker, doesn't take anything to give us a follow on any of our social media. It's free, idiot.
True.
Let's do that. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. Although fuck that. I don't know. Should I open up a Snapchat, a TikTok? Should I do those?
Honestly, I'm ready to shut down all of our social medias
Wow.
and just go to TikTok. Because
Just TikTok?
our Instagram, we're getting shadow banned all the time.
Yeah.
Because the pictures you've been making are very funny. And people don't, like, it's weird because sometimes there's a lot of likes, a lot of engagement, and then the next week it's like nothing.
Yeah.
And I believe that's the sign of a shadow ban. And then Twitter is just a garbage pool that I don't like looking at, so I might as well toss it.
But I like hearing
I
from
don't
the
know.
folks. I like hearing from the folks, and I don't want to just go to a Chinese government-run website. So follow us on our socials.
Yeah, just go there. We're not actually deleting them,
Yeah.
but it is weird. It's weird, and we don't like it. We're just like a few Daniel dancers dancing around having to use social media because we're not really those people.
And that's the show.
There you go. Bye.
Take your Shane.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, Shane.
Thank
Oh, I
you.
got a text from Mike. He says, "Don't kill yourselves." Wink.
Oh, did he emoticon or emoji?
No, he emoticoned it.
I'm gonna go
Wow,
drink some
that's
more,
old school.
and I bet Mike's gonna fucking take a Concorde jet that don't even exist, and I'm gonna drink a little bit more, and he's just flip me on my back. I'm too drunk.
Nice.
There you
Have a
go.
nice kiss on the stomach.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Shane.
Bye.
Bye.